Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for another match of Super Rugby Pacific, a part of round 9, and it is the Blues versus Moana Pasifika. Now, this is a very important matchup for both of these sides. We will get the table up in a very short moment, but the Blues are sitting at the moment in 10th on 11 points. Moana Pasifika are on 15. So there is a bit of ground that can be made up, and it's so important that both of these sides get the victory here as the top 6 is slowly creeping away from the bottom 5. Of course, you've got to be in that top 6 by the end of the regular matches. Looking through at this Blues starting lineup, it is a fantastic one. Once again, Josh Fusitua, Ricky Riccatelli, and Angus Ta'avao as the front row. Josh Berry alongside Patrick Tuipolotu in the locking duo with Anton Segner, Dalton Papali, and Hoskins Tutu making up the loose forward trio. I think they've just said Angus Ta'avao, he is in the starting lineup because of another injury that they did see last week in Marcel Renata, Finley Christie, and Bowden Barrett. They'll be the 19 combination. AJ Lamb, Enrico Ioane in the middle, and then Caleb Clark, Mark Talia, and Corey Evans will be playing as the number 15. For Moana Pasifika, they have got Abraham Pole, Sana Revi, and Sai Ta'ufo'o, whose name I'm slowly getting the hang of, but it's still not great. Let's be honest, Samuel Slade and Alan Craig will be the locking duo with Mitikal Whailangi. Ari Savia plays 7 again, and then Tupo Ta'iloa will be number 8. He has been absolutely insane this year. He is pretty much rose from a guy that not many people knew to now him partnering with Savia as well as Whailangi has just been a dream loose forward trio for Moana Pasifika. Malani Matavao gets himself the start at number 9 with Jackson Garden Bishop slotting in at 10. Danny Tualo and Lalo Milo in the midfield with Pipisana Patafilo out on the left wing, Kieran Tumafalau out on the other, and William Harvili at number 15. We've got there. Hi, Robert. Says Matthew. Welcome in, everyone. Hope you are all doing extremely well and hope you're excited for this contest. We are also going to get to see the Fijian drawer taking on the Highlanders just around the corner too. 20 kilometres of wind, 20 degrees Celsius. Nice and easy to remember. The weather looks good at Eden Park. Looking at the recent form for the Blues, they were able to get themselves a win over the Hurricanes in their most recent match, as you can see, coming in as favourites in this game up against Moana Pasifika. But next week, they've got the Crusaders, and then they've got the Reds in 14 days' time. With where they sit on the table, I don't want to say that every single game is a must-win, but I believe they can only afford to lose 1, maximum 2 more games this season, the Blues. And if they were to do that, they would probably miss out on playoff matches for Moana Pasifika. They're a little bit the same. 1 more loss for them will set them back a bit, but they still have a bit of a points differential over some of those other sides in terms of the amount of points they've actually scored, not their exact differential per se. They were able to beat the Waratahs last week after being down by 14 at halftime. They went on to score 38 points in the second half. So I think the perfect thing to look at here is just because the Blues are leading at halftime does not mean they will be leading at full time, but it also, I feel like, would have woken the Blues up to the idea that Moana are a bit of a comeback side. So they should be much more aware, and I feel like for that, they will be a lot stronger in this contest as well. Good luck to both teams, says KW Stanley. Blues are taking this game so seriously, says Shade, which is great to see because a lot of other sides, Crusaders, Hurricanes, Waratahs to a certain extent, they all took Moana Pasifika a bit lightly. They went, nah, they were the side that a lot of teams were beating last year, so we'll put together a little bit of a makeshift team. And the Hurricanes, they had to bring on their big dogs later on in the contest. That was too late, as Moana was already well and truly in it. The Crusaders, they never found their feet up against Moana Pasifika, which I think also just proves with where the Crusaders are, how strong this Moana Pasifika side can in fact be, and a decent amount of support in the stands by the looks of it, which is absolutely awesome to see for this Moana Pasifika side. AJ Lamb, this will be his 50th Super Rugby match too. A big occasion for him. We've seen quite a few milestones actually throughout the weekend. Saw Robbie Henshaw in the game just before between Leinster and Glasgow bring up his 100. Peter Umaga Jensen and Pauli Raketi Stones both bringing up the 50. So Moana Pasifika, they will be wearing that classic white kit. They have made quite famous over the last few weeks with some of the upsets they have been causing. The Blues, they are wearing, of course, the classic blue for that side as well. Moana Pasifika for the win, says Kai. And yeah, it is pretty incredible how quickly Moana Pasifika have picked up momentum. Because, near the start of the season, a lot of people felt like their side, as well as the Fijian draw, they were a little bit harsh on them, maybe saying they would be down the bottom of the table. And the draw, in fact, are, just because they haven't been able to get away from that away loss kind of record that they've got at the moment. Leinster killed Glasgow, what a thrashing. Yeah, really one-sided game. Leinster looked phenomenal. Geordie Barrett was the man of the match in that contest. Came away with some brilliant turnovers in the breakdown and is really looking in some superb form at the moment. Let me know your score predictions for this match, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, the Highlanders will be playing the Fijian draw. It will be happening at 7 p.m. New Zealand time. And then a bit later on, we have also got the brilliant matchups that are going to be happening for the Challenge and Champions Cup. Now, to be honest, both teams for the win. Good luck to both teams. Cheering for both teams. Let's go. So the ideal scenario in that case then would be a golden point game. We asked for it yesterday. We almost had it between the Crusaders and the Hurricanes. This one could be the contest that we do see golden point. The thing is, though, who has the advantage at golden point? If Moana Pasifika gets stronger as a match wears on, surely they would, have a little bit of something there. Requires 7 points to ellipse Mornay Stain for the second most point scorer of all time in Super Rugby history for Beauden Barrett. 7 points might not be a mile away, and what a way to bring it up would be getting a try for Bodie. Currently leads the Super Rugby Player of the Year voting with 22 points for Adi Savia. He has been absolutely incredible for Moana Pasifika. The win predictor is 73% in favour of the Blues, but Moana, of course, will have something to say about it, hopefully. Hopefully this one's competitive. Miracles do happen, Adi league drive type stuff, says Shane. The Blues will kick off from right to left with Beauden Barrett, and we are underway for another match of Super Rugby Pacific that's going to be not taken cleanly by Caleb Clark in the aerial battle alongside Kieran Tumafalau, which means Moana Pasifika on their own 22 have got possession. There are a few things that have to go right here for the Blues for them to get the victory. Their discipline is one, as when they are under pressure, that is when we start to see a few ill-disciplined moments creeping in. Had a few yellow cards already this year, but just have to make sure they keep that composure. They're a good enough side that even with a man disadvantage at times, they are able to strike, and everyone's just waiting for that turning point in the season where they just go on a big streak towards the playoff games. That is an awkward rolling maul, and it's going to be hard to get out of there, but the advantage is in favour of the Blues for Moana collapsing. Christie goes off to Beauden Barrett, skip past to Corey Evans, who smashed backwards in a good shot from Tolfo. And we'll go back. Number 5. I believe that is Alan Craig would have been penalised for that one. Do you think Moana Pasifika will win? The thing is, it's very hard to say yes for Moana Pasifika just because of the amount of points that they have conceded this year. But at the same time, the amount of upsets that they've caused this year, it actually makes it like, if you had said Moana to beat the Blues at Eden Park at the start of the season, people would have laughed at you. But there's still a chance that they could get close in this game, but then there's also a chance they concede 50. It's a very hard one to know. When does the game start, though? The game has started, though. Started about 100 seconds ago. Spinning bars. Now, AJ Lamb going off to the left-hand side. Now pick and go coming from the Blues, just trying to get those extra couple of meters. We can hear some drums being played in the background, getting slapped. Now sitting 7 meters out. Papali'i, low tack on him by Jackson Garden, bashed by everyone. Interesting. Pellegrini is on the bench. Says John, yeah, he's been a standout at number 10 for them throughout the season. So maybe because of how strong they are in the second half, they want to have him out there to add that extra impact. But his kicking has been terrific, and it was actually something that really helped Moana Pasifika take control of that Crusaders game, that first 50-22 that he was able to get, just put them backwards. And speaking of getting put backwards, Malani Matavao driven off in the tackle. Only 2 meters out now for the Blues, but then Christie having to join the breakdown. So Ipolotu's just running to the back of Christie's leg. Clark trying to go over the line, just short again. There are so many players in that breakdown. I believe it's going to pop out for the Blues. Yes, it does. trying to get the leg drive going. He's on his knees, but they say he's got the grounding. And it will be the try for, I think it is Ricky Riccatelli. Yes, it is. He pops up with it, and the Blues are struck first. And just like that, we score. Says Allen. And go Moana goes, says L 30, and Blues by 20 plus. Says Spider-Meek. The thing is, though, the Blues could lead by 20 plus at halftime, and we could still see Moana win this game. It's been the trend that they've followed throughout this season. Up against the Waratahs, they were down by 14. They scored 38 points in that second half. So it's such a weird, like I said, the perfect word to describe it is weird, but it's weird in a good way that Moana can be down and out in a contest and still, even that game up against the Chiefs, they looked like they weren't going to get anything going. Still scored about 30 something points in the second half up against them, but Bowden Barrett still 7 behind Mornay Stain. Chance here. Make it only 3 point spot. Oh, he shanked that one. He's going to have to do a few more kicks. Probably knows that he's close as well. Kiwi Rob ran away. He's speaking in the third person. And we have the afternoon all, says Blues. Oh, sorry, that was David the Mod. And let's go Moana, come on, says NRL fan. So as the NRL fan, who is the team that you're backing to win the NRL? NRL fan, do let me know, because of course the Panthers have not been where they once were. There are a few sides hanging in there and actually doing quite well. The Warriors aren't looking terrible at the moment, I do have to say, but we all know that can change in an instant. Now, Finley Christie kicking this one from just outside of his 22, close to the sideline, and well taken by William Harvili. Lalomilo looked like he was going to be playing half for a second, but leaves it for Ardi Savia. Let's run forward from Abraham Pole. Back across, Mataval. Going up to Sanarevi. Mataval again, back to Garden Bishop and behind. A little bit of an indecision there from Pipisana Patafilo, who is playing in the left wing position for this match, but was a long way off the wing for that carry. Garden Bishop will send it high again. Good chase coming from Kieran Tomafalau, but well handled by Bowden Barrett. Counter ruck coming from Moana, but it is cleaned up by the Blues. Dolphins looking fire. Says Wade there. And don't worry, Kiwi Rob, I think the Blues will win this one. The ref could always screw it up, says Demon. Now Bowden Barrett kicks it high. And Mark Talaire's knocked that one on. So is Moana Pasifika, but the referee says it's just knocked on by Moana. Did Talaire not knock that ball on first? He's probably quite happy about that one, Mark Talaire. I think he got both hands to it, and it still went forward a metre. Did see one like that in the Waratahs versus Chiefs game, in which Waratahs, they eventually went back with the TMO, changed the decision. It does mean that the Blues will now have themselves the scrum feed. Bowden Barrett, big opportunity here for him. See that my background has decided it's too thin today, so you can slightly see the light. Melbourne for me. I'm hoping the Wires make the final somehow. And that's the thing, like the Warriors, like every year at this stage or so, normally it's a little bit later that everyone says, oh, finals rugby's around the corner. But like they actually, I'm going to jinx them probably, but they do look pretty good at the moment. Ref will rob Moana, but that is going to be the penalty going the way of the Blues. Never saw a replay of that knock on from Moana Pasifika, which normally tells you what you need to know about it. Bowden Barrett now going to be ready. Kick this one into touch. The Blues. So make them some nice meterage here. Going to see the scrum once again. A big push from the Blues right off the get-go, and then just a little bit of wheeling going on the Abraham Polly side. I think Hoskins, the Tutu, was the player who got the main high fives. The scoreboard, Emmy says that Spider-Meek, one moment, we'll shift the mouse, we'll give it a bit of a wiggle, and hopefully, here we go, it has decided to update. It's a game of millimeters in that scoreboard. I can have it sitting exactly where it needs to, and if it shuffles just a little bit, ends up going away. Can you fix your scoreboard? It is now fixed. 22 meters out from the line here. Finley Christie rolling this one forward with the maul. It's going to be relatively hard to get out of there for the Blues, but they have managed to do so. It's a 2-2. Yeah, good Ardi Savia going in. That would be the second man. He's off his feet, so the penalty advantage will go against him. And Josh Berry. This is a good position on the field again for the Blues to be able to get some sort of attack going. Rico Ioane goes across to Christie again. Tuipulotu, 15 metres out from the line, still under penalty advantage with 8 minutes into this fixture. Referee was in the way. Finley Christie goes for the grubber. AJ Lamb waits for it, but Kieran Tamafalau, in fact, this time it was Harvili, was able to clean it up. Going to be going back for another advantage. I don't see the Blues going for the 3 here. I think that they would go instead for the 7 option. And it's against Miracle Whailangi for not rolling away. But it was Ardie Savia going for the turnover. At 24 matches, Miracle Whailangi, and he scored 10 tries. Not many people have that kind of clinical try-scoring record as a forward. Now they will look for that rolling maul again. Moana Pasifika end up conceding another penalty at the rolling maul. Perhaps we will see the card come out in this matchup. Currently 9 minutes into the contest. Chance again for the Blues. Blues, they came in as quite heavy favourites for this matchup. Now thrown in by Ricky Riccatelli. They're trying to prove exactly why. That maul does seem like it's going to be the bread and butter here for the Blues. Ricky Riccatelli only a couple metres short. Ball was almost trapped in there, but Finley Christie will go off to the right-hand side. AJ Lamb, a lot of work to do all by himself. Now, I'm not too sure whether or not Christie called that or AJ Lamb did. But either way, there were about 3 Moana Pasifika defenders in front of Lamb. He was optimistic if he was the one who said, yep, I'll get through them. And it gives now Sanarevi the line-out throw for Moana Pasifika. Let's get it in. Nicely claimed by Moana. Alan Craig leaves it for Miracle Whailangi. Puts in the big fend and gets rid of Angus Ta'aval. Back into the pocket again. Jackson Garden Bishop just looking for the angle to be able to get this ball into touch. It hasn't found it just yet. Awkward bouncing ball. Barrett has to clean it up about 30 metres out from his own line. Goes for the kick of his own back into the 22. Garden Bishop now has even more time. Get this one right. And does manage to find touch with it around the halfway line. Who's the big white dude at lock for Moana? That will be Alan Craig. At the moment, he's got half of what looks like, you know, those old school American wrestling headgear. He's got that at the moment. I think he's got some sort of problem with his ear, so he's got a bit of a cup over it to try and protect her, or at least that's the way that it is strapped. But yeah, very handy player. Same with Tom Savage. Those two guys in the locking duo seem to add a lot to this Moana Pasifika side. Nicely taken by Josh Berry. Now, Papali'i moves up to the halfway line. Oh, diving in off the feet was Ricky Riccatelli, but it has meant that they can go for the box kick now. Mark Talia chasing after this one. He's knocked that one backwards this time. Bounces to Bowden Barrett back across to the left-hand side. Oh, a little bit of a slip there for Lalo Milo with sleeves. Bit of space for Clark. To be tackled again, though. The Blues still on attack. About 30 metres out from the try line. Close to the turnover for Ardie Savia, but again, it's going to be the penalty. Oh, okay. So they said that Ardie Savia was in, but I believe it was Feliti Seitau Ufo-au who was a little bit slow getting out of there. Although, to be fair, at the time that Ardie won the penalty, there was no man in sight. He did quite well to get out of there as quickly as he did, I'd say, for a big prop. We're going to have a quick look at the replay, I would assume. No, we're not. We don't have replays today for any of the decisions made. Very good afternoon to you, Hamish, and TKL viewers. Blues till the end, 685 to the world, Malausos. There's James, and here come the Blues again. And hey, brother Hamish, your pronunciation is amazing. Say hi to my son Jackson. Love you, brother. There's Justin, so shout out to you, Jackson and Justin, of course. I'm now Mataval. Going to be kicking this ball in behind, close to the sideline. Caleb Clark doing extremely well to keep the ball alive. Corey Evans looking for a gap, but he runs straight at Lalo Milo. Lalo Milo tries to hold him up. They do have to now release him. Fiji has been disappointing, so I hope they can pull their game off. There's NRL fan. And the thing is, for Fiji and Drua, if they win their game right, like, it actually, like, hurts the Highlanders maybe even worse than if they were just to lose to another side, because they would be losing to a side below them. It means that creates that little bit more of a gap, and yeah, it could be a brutal one. Well, I'm always appreciate you, my brother. Keep it real. Says Justin. Here come the Blues again. And also, we have got there about the Fijian draw, but of course they will be playing in about 2 hours, 15 minutes. Possession at the moment, 77% for the Blues, 68% territory for the Blues as well, and 3 minutes 13 inside of the opposition 22, compared to Moana, who have had a big fat 0 amount of time inside of the opposition's 22. A lot of work to go for Moana if they want to find a way of getting back into this contest. And then Christie at scrum time, that one has stayed in on the side of the Blues. They were going for a bit of an extra push. Now flinging it out wide for Rico Ioane. Goes to Clark with the big fend. About 40 metres out from the line, and there's a little knock on for the Blues in the breakdown. Does mean Moana Pasifika, I believe this would be their first scrum feed. Booted it into one of his own players, so I think they've called that as accidental offside. In that case, the points by halves. The Blues first half, they scored 106 so far this season. Moana 101. Whereas in the second half, Moana Pasifika this year have scored 173 points from their matches. The Blues in the second half of all of their contests have only scored 56. So 123 more points in the second half. It's like a biased commentator's teams, says Kiwi Rob. So I assume that's just like in general. If you want to hear that little bit of bias, Waratah's Chiefs was a good one listening to it last night. One of the commentators kept on bringing up that possible try. And by the end of it, the other commentators literally said, look, let it go. Play on. I think he brought it up about 4 times after it happened. They showed Owie for replays as well, of course. But yeah, the other Aussie commentators were saying, listen, just shush about it. And thanks, Kiwi lads. Go the Blues. There's Alocina and Moana, second half team, bringing it home. And we have got there, well, I find my wallet, brother. Or when I find my wallet, I'm going to join you. Says Justin. Scrum accuracy of the Blues, 94% compared to the 90% of Moana. They've lost 7 scrums this season, but this will not be the 8th. Running it forward, Danny Tuala. That wasn't a try, says Kiwi Rob. Going off to the left-hand side here for Artie Savia. Managed to make the tackle on him, so 2-2. A little bit late to rip. Wait, hang on. They've called it as a tackle, and then the Blues have stripped it from him and got the ball. Beauden Barrett chips it in behind. He's going to score, but, you know, if you're going to call it as a tackle and you have to release him, and then they rip it off him and score a try, is that really... The ball was ripped before you went down, as the comment. Artie Savia said, well, can you at least check that one? Because... Yeah, so referee said I'm happy with it. Artie Savia is not. So we're going to see it. The knee is down there. So they have to release. Nah, that's ripped late. That's a poor decision from the referee. I'd like to think the TMO would get involved, but it's a tricky one because Beauden Barrett, he would have just brought up enough points to match Mornay Stain, but yeah, the knee was down a long time before that ball was ripped away. Go Beauden Barrett, says James. Yeah, nothing taken away from that finish from Beauden. The little chip in behind, and he wasn't down Hamish. I think you might have your blue sunglasses on, unfortunately, Kiwi Rob. We've noticed a bit of a trend with yourself. It's when the Blues do something wrong, it's fine. When someone else does it, it's a crime. Now, Beauden Barrett misses that one. James Parson, one of the most, I don't want to say biased man towards the Blues, but he played for them for over 100 matches. He said it wasn't a try because of the knee being down. We have got there, what do you do? Commentators got into a fight with each other. Don't think I've ever seen that happen in sports before. There have been really tension-filled moments. Should not have been play on. No, should have been a penalty to Moana Pasifika. The whole commentary panel have agreed, but Beauden Barrett, in a lackluster way, is now tied Mornay Stain for most points, or second most points in Super Rugby. So what is the TMO for if he's not checking that one out of curiosity? I know that they normally check the build-ups to tries to see whether or not there is foul play, which in that case, it can count as a penalty as it is playing the man on the ground and not releasing. Pipisana Patafilo moves up to the halfway line, and that one's going to be ripped away. The knee was up that time. Going off to the right-hand side, so it's a rip-off. Yep. But they'll take it, the Blues. If they, they need every point they can get at this point. And, a big shot from Ardie Savia, and they've said that it's fine. I think there might have been a knock-on from Moana in the breakdown, but it's kicked back onto the side. Yep, there it is. Knock-on has been called, nothing to do with TMO. Says Spider Mech. So who's it to do with then? Is it the touch judge job? Or is it the referee in general? Because normally in the build-up to a try, you are able to check for knock-ons and foul play. And, we've seen it used before. Yeah, Ardie Savia just flying through, hitting Christie over like he owed him money. Probably frustration. How we have good there, that was a hit. Says Kiwi Rob, of course it was. Sick to the back teeth of this microscopic reffing. Says James, that was playing the 9, says Kiwi Rob. Referee said his hands were on the ball. Once again, Rob, you're not going to get it this time. Our ball's going to be fed in by the Blues, who have got themselves the knock on. So it does mean that they do have the scrum now. Big push coming from the Blues. Advantage now in their favour. Picked up off the back from, it was Tupo Taeloa. Fourth penalty at set piece now. Up against Moana Pasifika. Blues, more than likely, they will kick this one to the corner. That's incredible. The Blues have not conceded a single penalty so far in this match. That's impressive. I'd say it's the ref's call. He's the main decision caller. Says Alan. Yeah, for Paul Williams to say so confidently, the knee was down before it was stripped. And then they show the replay and Ardie's knee down for a good second or two before Papali rips it away. Oh, okay. Referee just yelling at the Blues backline saying you're getting yourselves offside at line-out time. Now, Ricky Riccatelli, this is such a cool game. Says Justin. Yeah, it seems like the crowd is split relatively down the middle in terms of their support. Now, nice rolling maul here for the Blues. Has been their tried and trusty all season. And we'll go to it as much as they can throughout this matchup. Ricky Riccatelli. Still getting that little bit closer to the try line. He's breaking off just 1 meter short. Good tackle made by Milani Matavao. Papali'i tried to go with a pick and go, fell forward, knocked it on. And it's going to be the scrum now for Moana Pasifika just out from the try line. Is it a full house? No, it is not. They've got quite a few empty seats at Eden Park for this one. I was at the Hurricanes Crusaders game last night, managed to get down there with Umaga Jensen's on his 50th. Had a great day and also got parking for free. Says Justin, so that'll be a big bonus. But yeah, Umaga Jensen having a great game, getting 2 tries throughout that matchup. 21 minutes in at the moment. In fact, I need to get that scoreboard. There we go. Move the mouse again and we're back good. And go Moana go. Says L30. And at Sky Stadium says Justin in there. If the TMO involved, it's an insult to a ref doing his job, says Spider Mech. I feel like that's the complete opposite of what we've heard all throughout the season. Everyone has said the TMO is there to make the right decision, whether the referee is right or wrong. But I guess when the Blues do it, it's fine. Is that what we're saying? Your score is wrong, says Highlanders will win Super Rugby 2025. Your name seems to be getting longer and longer each time. Of course, they have to make sure that they do win their game up against the Fijian draw to be able to do so. It's not 5-0, says George Murphy. No, it is 10-0. Oh, nicely kept in. No, sorry, Mark Talia. The foot was on the line, says the touch judge. And Fakatava and JRK are back. Blues aren't doing so good, says Justin. Good to know you're free parking, says L30, and the Canes, says Ange. Right, so pretty much for anyone who is confused, which is Kiwi Rob, so pretty much the rule is if you're going to catch it like that, I believe you have to start inside of the field of play, I believe they've just said. Rather than starting outside and jumping back in, you have to do it the opposite way, if that makes sense. Now, Ardie Savia Going off to Danny Tuwala. Skip past out wide to Lalo Milo. Ball on the inside to Kieran Tamafalau. They've got a 3-on-1. Although Bowden Barrett, he will be back to cover. And it will become the goal line dropout. If the TMO makes all the decisions, then do we need a ref or sideline judges? Says Alan. Well, the TMO is normally just brought in for the important decisions that can change a game, which is the try scoring situation. Normally, in general play, the TMO only gets involved in foul play. When it feels that it warrants something more than a penalty, is normally when they're getting involved. In the try scoring scenario, they've got up until I think it's about a minute after the try is scored, or 2 minutes after the try is scored, to be able to make their decision. Normally during the time that we see the players lining up a kick at the posts. But yeah, when it comes to match changing decisions, I feel like the TMO, that is literally why they are there. Now, chance here for Sanarevi. Moana Pasifika with the line out. Samuel Slade nicely slapped away to the side as well. And we have got there Hamish. I think the All Blacks back row should be Luke Jacobson at 6, Hardy Savia 7, Wallace Aditi with Blackadder on the subs. Says Demon, yeah, your pronunciation of the Pacific people's names is awesome. Says Alosina. Went to the toilet on the train last week. Someone accidentally opened the door on me. See a lot in the carriage, says Ed. That does not sound ideal. Oh, penalty on the halfway line for the Blues. That is going to be against Faliti Seitao Ufu'au. And Canes came back, but the Crusaders too strong for the Canes. Says Ange. Now, Bowden Barrett going to be kicking this one towards the touchline. Thanks for clarifying, brother. Says Justin. And that one has not found. Oh, no, it has. My apologies. I thought that it might have gone dead, but they've said 5 meters out from the line. It will be the line out. Josh Berry able to get back to his feet after making that carry because no one was grabbing him, and then trying to get out of there was a tight head prop for Moana, but just a little bit too slow, managing to roll out of there. Now gives the Blues another 5-meter line-out chance. They've had 23 line-outs with 8 tries from this red zone, which is inside of the 22. Now Ricky Riccatelli, nicely taken. Now passing off to the left-hand side, Anton Segner now only a couple meters from the try line. All the Blues now only inches from getting over. Berry pots it up to Satutu. Big shot on him. Has managed to get his knees to the ground. In regards to the Crusaders, about half the country. We have got there as the weather cooled down a bit. Says John, we're sitting 15 degrees at the moment. Tui Pelotu is sitting about 15 centimeters over the try line. And the Blues have got themselves the third. And at the moment, the way that it sits, they do have themselves the bonus point. Cares about Crusaders is Alverdi. And bonus point Blues is Kiwi Rob. Of course, they do have to make sure that they do win this game by 3 or more tries, or else that bonus point can be taken away. Did see it last night in the game between the Crusaders and the Hurricanes that the Canes were able to take that extra point of the Satyrs out of the equation. I'll be back, Cammy, trotting down to my local TAB to place my bet on our Blues Aupiki final. Here's Spider Mick. Now Bowden Barrett. Going to line up this kick. If he gets it over, he will actually be drawing with Mornay Stain. I mentioned about it last time as I thought that that kick was going to go over, but it did not. But that kick has now from Barrett. So now him and Mornay both sitting on the same second all-time point scorers. Needs one more to be able to surpass him. Tui Pelotu is a good finish from the man in the end. Just kept his body position low. Driving over the line. Going to be kicked off by Moana Pasifika, finding themselves 17-0 down after 27 minutes. But once again, like they are, not on, or in fact, they're a forward pass from Oscar Satutu there. They have been a second half team, 170 points scored in the second half for Moana Pasifika, compared to the Blues about 58. So there is still time left in this game, and it will be very interesting because Moana Pasifika have only been in the opposition 22 for 3 seconds at this point in time. I believe that would have been the run down the wing from Kieran Tamafalau when he went for that little kick in behind. Pacifica needs to score next. Says Demon. Sitting 28 minutes in at the moment. In fact, while we're at it, someone mentioned about the TAB. I am curious to see what the odds are now. Moana Pasifika were $4.50 underdogs at the start of this match. Now, currently, it's going to be a free kick to the Blues at scrum time. Close the space, says Paul Williams. So that is against Abraham Pulley. Really pushed by Moana Pasifika, says Kiwi Rob. Going to be kicked down the middle of the field. Sits up for Kieran Tumafalau. Go for the kick of his own. Trying to jump up for this and takes it beautifully. Winning the foot race too here is the young, exciting winger. Now Malani Matavao goes off to the left-hand side. Adi Savia starts to move forward. Piri does tackle him. It's going to be the no advantage for Berry not rolling away. Samuel Slade. That's going to be knocked on, so the penalty will go the way of Moana Pasifika. That's almost the first penalty they've actually... Well, no, it might be the second penalty, in fact. They have managed to get in this first half. That's why it's a miracle second half, boys, says Shane. But yeah, the amount of points that they have scored second half of games is absolutely insane. Moana Pasifika currently $16 underdogs. The way that it sits... sorry, that was actually the Blues' first penalty. I thought they had one prior to that, but I believe it was just a knock-on. So 6-1 is the current penalty count. Blues have been very disciplined so far, although they have had a lot of the ball. Jackson Garden Bishop kicks it into touch. It's going to be about 10 metres out from the line, but it was beautifully taken. Finley Christie went up for it and never quite got the aerial leap that Tumafalau did. But now, it's going to be the line out. They have also mentioned that Christie was looking straight into the sun, so always a bit more tricky to be able to line up that ball. Enjoying the Auckland derby, Hamish, says Tony. It's been good so far. I will ask the question, Tony. Second try. What did you think of it? Was it all good, or would you say that maybe slightly hard done by Moana? But yeah, very good start to this match so far from the Blues. Going to be a low tackle attempted there from the home side. Now off to the right-hand side, Lalomilo, tackled by Papali'i. There's a new penalty advantage. After going about 29 minutes without conceding a penalty, the Blues have now given away two in quick succession. Miracle Whailangi, only just out from the line. Savia gets that little bit closer again. The ball is there. Somewhere, that's close. And Moana Pasifika have got themselves over the line. It is the big man at number 8, Samisi Tupo Taeloa, who has got himself the try. Our Crusaders at the top of the ladder after Chiefs lost. They are indeed sitting top of the bunch, the Crusaders. Samisi Tupo Taeloa, it is his 5th try of the season. I hope Crusaders stay informed for the rest of the season, says Matthew. And yes, says John. And there as well. Beautiful try. Lovely to see Barrett's brilliance. But no hard done by for Moana. Says distracted. Yeah, it was a beautiful chip in behind from Bodie. He now sits second most points in Super Rugby history alongside Mornay Stain. Moana Pasifika, all-time point scorers. William Harvili only 4 away. He was in front of players' last feet, says Kiwi Rob. He was in front of players' last feet. As in, like, in the breakdown, he grabbed it from the side? I'm confused at what penalty you're trying to ask for, Kiwi Rob, but if anyone was in front of the hindmost foot, it was actually the Blues. So it would have been an advantage against them. Can someone please tell if Blues are going to score 45 points? It depends on how Moana play in the second half. And now Moana at the top of the table says L30, nice try for Pasifika, says Matthew. And even at this stage, can't count Moana Pasifika out, says Justin. And Blues vs Moana, says Pativane. Now pick and go from Lalomilo. Looking well at the moment. There's a knock on from Moana Pasifika. He's using his foot to rake it backwards and there was a knock on. That wasn't a try, says Kiwi Rob. I have to say, Rob, you'd have to have the award for the most one-sided individual we've ever seen on the channel. Like, in terms of, it's fantastic to see your support for the Blues, but like, I don't think I've ever seen someone complain as much as you do about decisions that are just stock standard, like, to the game, and then put the wool over their eyes when something goes, against them or in their favour, I should say. I don't rate garden salad. Pellegrini has been playing the house down. Weird selection. It is. I assume it's because they're trying to get Pellegrini maybe fresh for the second half. But I would have loved to see him start this game just with the form that he's been in. And his kicking up against the Crusaders was one thing that really got them into that contest. They had a lot of territory throughout that game, whereas in this one, they've really struggled to get it. It's between Kiwi Rob and Optimus 12. Yeah, although Optimus 12 is only biased. Well, I guess he's, no matter what, he's against his own team. So he's a little bit of the opposite. That's a try, says L30. And we have got there, no one has spoken about how much points I put on all the winning games. 40 plus, let's get it, says Justin. And now, all is going to be there again for Finley Christie. Goes across to Bowden Barrett, AJ Lamb. Tackle made by Jackson Garden Bishop. Now off to the left-hand side to Josh Fusitua. 6 minutes remaining. Nice step from Caleb Clark. Moving up to 22 metres from the line. Christie goes across to Ta'aval. It's getting closer and closer, although right over the ball there for Moana Pasifika. Managed to take it back. Segner almost got the counter ruck straight away. We have there, who's going to win, please answer. It's very hard to say because Moana Pasifika have been a second half team all throughout this competition. Kiwi Rob be very afraid Moana Pasifika coming, says Shane, and who's going to win? Once again, it's very hard to tell. But I would recommend keeping your money rather than trying to have a 50-50 chance of losing it. Now, line out here for Ricky Riccatelli. They've said 12 points down at the moment, Moana Pasifika. James Parsons in the commentary box has said they might actually feel quite confident heading into the second half. Not destroying yet. Next minute, Moana win for real. Says L30. Now a little chipper behind here. Rico Ioane chasing after this one, but Lalo Milo. I would have taken it. It wasn't knocked on by the looks of it from William Harvili. Moana Pasifika haven't won back-to-back games. They literally did their last 2 weeks, did they not? Super Rugby. We'll just have a quick look. So last week they won up against the Waratahs, 45 points to 28. The week prior to that, they beat the Crusaders 45 points to 29. Back to back. So I'm not sure what you're on about. They have won their last 2. Yeah, if you're saying they haven't won back-to-back games, you'd be correct, Kiwi Rob. But yeah, they're literally on a 2-match winning streak. I don't think I've seen someone be so confident and be so wrong at the same time. They just won back-to-back, says Tony. And who you think says constant? I think that you should keep your money and just have a break from the gambling today. You don't need to bet on every single game that takes place, definitely when you know nothing about it. Because or else you're just gifting money to your TAB or your betting franchise. Now off to the right-hand side, Mark Delia rolled over, but he got the try. And the Blues have got another one. Yes, but tell me, I'm not going to tell you because then you're going to bet on it. And then you're going to send me hateful messages when you get it wrong. And anyone who knows the channel knows that I'm terrible at predictions. But boom, says Distractor Sports, the 3rd try for Talia of the season. AJ Lamb just running it hard, breaking through Jackson Garden Bishop of all people to be able to create the attacking momentum. I am not betting. I am not believing you. However, Moana is on horsepower, says L30. Yeah, just rolling over the line there. Mark Delia, second half runaway coming. Says Mr. All-In. That is an important one for the Blues. This is also an important kick for Bowden Barrett. This has become the second most highest point scorer of all time in Super Rugby. And he has got it over this time. So a big milestone. I'm going to fine you a sub. You're going to fine me a sub. Like as in like a sub from Subway? You want like a chicken and bacon ranch or something? Go Moana, says Saniva. Pacifica looks sleepy, says Demon. Us Landers need Blues to win, and the Landers need to beat the drawer, says Jetty Boy. Jackson needs a gun salad, adds very little and can't tackle, says Distracted. Yeah, it will be interesting to see how early they go to Pellegrini in the second half. Now rolling this one back, it is going to be Finley Christie kicking it high. Oh, a chance there. Or Moana to get the possession back. Jackson's son has beaten my team, says Justin. About 45 metres out from their line. 90 seconds remaining in the half. Alan Craig goes back across to the right-hand side. Lalomelo. A bit of a spin there. Anton Segner still managed to hang on to it. Now box kick. Blues 29, Moana Pasifika 19, I predict. Says Jetty Boy. Also, you're saying not many points for Moana in the second half. Knocked on by Caleb Clark. Looking straight into the sun there. Danny Tawala. Now again, it is in the hands of Moana Pasifika. Artie Savia goes across the middle. Quite a lungy, risky offload. Goes into touch, but they will go back for the initial scrum. Oh, no, sorry. He says that was sufficient advantage because they made about 3 meters. So it means that now it will be the line out for the Blues. Roosters got over the Bronx last night, says Ed Smith. Ricky Riccatelli. Throw this one. And that rolling maul of the Blues has been very strong throughout this contest. That one thrown into Tui Pilotu. Now, once again, they do go straight back to that rolling maul that I just mentioned. 10 seconds remaining in this first half, so I'm curious to see the mindset of the Blues, whether or not they go for the risk of trying to score a about 70-meter try, or whether they just kick this ball into touch and say 19 points is enough. They say 19 points is enough. Finley Christie, that was about the quickest we have seen a ball kicked out for half-time. That's going to make the score now 24 points to 5. Good morning, all. Says Albert, welcome in. And go Moana, you guys can do it, says L30. And Roosters got over the Bronx last night. And Blues trash, says Ita. Although they are winning this game by 19 points at the moment, of course. So they are doing pretty decently in the scenario. They've had a lot of possession, a lot of territory, and changed the first 5 and halfback for Moana, says Samuelo. Yeah, like that combination of Garden Batchev and Mataval hasn't really fired. Like Mataval normally isn't too bad, but yeah, I think that it's just been it's a bit of a tricky one in some regards. But, like, yeah, I think Garden Bishop, as bad as it sounds, I think he has to be subbed off at halftime. I think that gives Moana their best possible chance. They played the territory game well up against the Crusaders. They played it well up against the Tars as well. Do you reckon Moana will catch up in the second half? It's a tricky one. That extra try being scored definitely makes it more challenging. They're $26 underdogs. This is a side that scored 38 points last week. Then that's being said, the Waratahs' defence at times were a little bit shaky. But, yeah, it's definitely going to be intriguing. All I know is anyone who's been back in Moana Pasifika to win their games would have been making quite a bit over the last few weeks. These are the benches, though, for Moana Pasifika. They have got Halo as well as Pellegrini. Pinianisi also there as one of the back replacements. Summer Malolo, James Lay, Chris Apua, Tom Savage, and Sione Havili Talatui. They've actually got a really good bench here, Moana Pasifika. The Blues, they've got their fair share of great players in the mix as well. Kurt Eklund, they have got Adrian Choate, Alpha Funaki, Plummer, and Pirafeta as the back replacements. Yeah, I'm very intrigued to see how it goes. Well, the second half for Moana Pasifika, their next game will be up against the Brumbies. It is taking place at 4:35 p.m. next week on Saturday, and then for their next game after that, they will be playing up against the Fijian Drua. It is also the 4:35 p.m. kickoff on the Saturday as well. For the Blues, they have got a game up against the Crusaders, and then they have got a game up against the Reds, and they are both taking place on Friday night for the Blues. Neither at home, though, so that is why there's so much importance behind winning this game, because if this isn't a victory here, you go into that scenario of possibly you'd almost need a winning streak from there to be able to finish off the comp. Currently, I believe there are 6 games left. Theoretically, that's 30 points worth that we could see for the Blues from those last games if they were able to win them all. That game up against the Crusaders, though, is definitely going to be a big one. We have their stats on forwards. Says KW Stanley, which forward would you like to know about? Or is it just the forwards in general? I can tell you the tackling stats. I can tell you who's made what meters and all sorts, how many games you're covering, champ, today. So we have got 4 today. Originally, it was going to be 5, but I decided that instead of doing Reds versus Brumbies, that was going to be my little bit of a break before doing the Champions Cup and Challenge Cup matches a little bit later on. Currently, in terms of the possession, it is 62% in favour of the Blues. They have got 4 tries to the 1, so currently still sit in the position of a bonus point. Put Pellegrini on the field. Yeah, he needs to be out there second half, and he needs to have at least 35 minutes, I would say. Or else, they've made some poor choices in that regard. I do think it was a poor choice not even starting him in this game, though, I will mention. 14 defenders beaten for the Blues compared to the 3 of Moana Pasifika. 2 and 2 for the clean breaks. 4 offloads to 0 for Moana Pasifika. And then defensively, we've seen 14 missed tackles from Moana. They've made 66. 44 tackles made by the Blues. They've made or only missed the 4. Some great numbers there in terms of the Blues' defence. Discipline-wise, they've only given away 1 penalty at this point in time. Moana have given away 6. And Moana Pasifika fires its over, same as last week before that. Before that, there's Shane. Although I do feel like this Moana Pasifika side up against the Blues defence might struggle just that little bit more to break through. How's the Moana flankers doing? Samisi Tupo Ta'iloa managed to get himself a try. Artie Savia, he's been a bit unlucky throughout this game, I will mention, but that does not mean he won't start firing up in the second half. And Miracle Fire, he's once again looked pretty handy. He just hasn't really had any ball in hand, which I think is the big difference maker at the moment for Moana. If they can start getting their hands on the ball, they'll be able to start really making some meters. Like we've seen 23 meters gained from Miracle Fire with the defender beaten. Samisi Tupo, he's only had 2 meters gained, making 6 tackles. And then for Artie Savia, he's made 13 meters, making 4. So they haven't really had too much of the ball as of yet. Kieran Tumafalau has been the most impressive in terms of that backline. He has had 47 meters gained. And then in terms of the Blues, most meters, I think AJ Lamb, he's got 37. He'll be up there. Talia's got 23. Clark's got 27. Tutu's got 28. So I don't think anyone's higher than AJ Lamb for meters made. Rico has made 0 meters according to the stats. So that's not ideal for the number 13, who just hasn't really had his hands on the ball as of yet. I'm back giving 200 for a win and take out the comp back to back, says Spider Mick. Yeah, second half, the Blues will know that this Moana Pasifika side normally do come back in a second half. I think we saw it before. 170 points scored in the second half of their Super Rugby matches so far. Now, 170, ladies and gentlemen, just when we look, this is actually the table from the start of the week, but it is still relevant. They've only played 7 games, Moana Pasifika. So if we get the old trusty calculator out, because I can't be bothered dividing it in my head, 170 divided by 7 equals, on average, they score 24 points per second half of rugby. Now, they are down at the moment by 19 points, which would mean if the Blues are able to get themselves just the 1 converted try, that would almost seem like enough to get them over the line. But in general, Moana Pasifika throughout their games have scored 270-ish points from their 7, which means they average around 38 points per game. The Blues, they are sitting there with a points differential of minus 39. So, of course, the more wins or the more tries that they can get here, the more beneficial it will be as they make their way towards the playoff games, if they can continue winning. As Tutu leaving after this competition, I think he's locked in until 2028, I want to say it is, for Satutu. I think he's put in a relatively long-term deal with the Blues. He mentioned, I think it was a few weeks ago, I saw an article where he pretty much said, like, whatever happens will happen for international rugby, but my main focus at the moment is the Blues. What up? Good place. Or good to see the poll as Moana at 60% to win. I'm in the right place, says Sam. We've got a waving there from Kiwi Rob with the hand. We have got there, let's go Mo, says Sam and there as well. And shout out to my big man next door, Big J. Shout out to Big J. Is J for Justin or is J for something else? Let's go Blues, says Kiwi Rob there. But they have just got the one try, Ta'iloa, for the Moana Pasifika side. In terms of the Blues, they have had plenty throughout that first half, getting themselves a total of 4, including Bowden Barrett. Super Rugby, is that still a thing? It certainly is, world champions. Been taking place for the last 30 years, somewhere around there. First time to go back-to-back women's champions, says Kiwi Rob. And let's go Moana, says Samuelu. Have just got it there. Moana Pasifika, $26 underdogs to come back to win this one. Let's see how good your pronunciation is, Hamish. Amalolava, Saifua Maya Malangi, Mama, says James. Hopefully that wasn't terrible. I'll be honest, I have no idea what I just said. I'm a little bit concerned. Although I know Malolava, so hopefully it wasn't anything too bad. Roger Tuivasa Sheik in the stands we do see. He has decided to come watch the Blues in action, his old side. I'm Jay for Justin. My neighbour is Jay, my man. You're doing a great job, says Justin. And James has said, pretty good, mate. You said good health and heaven's blessing in Samoans. Or in Samoan, says James. I feel like I started falling apart a little bit near the end. But, hopefully it wasn't awful. Whaamalosi Miracle Langi, my mate, says Samuelu. Yeah, he's looked strong in this game once again. Although I do want to see him with the ball in hand a little bit more. And I feel like that could be a big difference maker if him, Savia, and also Tupo Ta'iloa are all firing. Going to be big. RTS must be playing tomorrow. I think he's injured at the moment from the sounds of that because they said get well soon to him in the commentary. I think I just gradually heard. So, yeah, he might be out at the moment with some sort of injury. Second half of this contest. Of course, do let me know, ladies and gentlemen. Wrong as they are in Aussie, says Kiwi Rob. Let's KO Mo. It's Storm versus Waz, says Kiwi Rob. Whereas Julian Savia, sadly injured at the moment. I'm not sure what the duration is of his injury, but yeah, he's been out since pretty much the start of the season, which is a shame because, getting to see him and Artie Savia in the same team would have been absolutely awesome. But we haven't really got to see that a huge amount for this year. Now, second half just around the corner. 19 points difference between these two sides. But Moana Pasifika scored 38 points in the second half up against the Waratahs last week. A week prior to that, they managed to score 45 points in total. We need the bus, says Shane. It would have been a different dynamic to this Moana Pasifika side having someone like a Julian Savia. But I do think in his absence, we've seen a lot more of Kieran Tumafalau, as well as out on the other wing. For this game, it is Pipisana Patafilo. Last week, he did play in the midfield. Tana didn't pick Julian, says Sam. And if the Blues win and draw, what will happen with the table, says Kiwi Rob. So currently, the way that it sits table-wise, are you saying just winning rather than a bonus point, Kiwi Rob? We'll go with that anyway, just for now. So if the Blues win without a bonus point, they'll move up to the same points as Moana Pasifika on 15, and that would put them into 9th because of the fact that Moana Pasifika have a much better points differential than the Blues at this stage of the season. Fiji and draw, if they were to win, they would move up. In fact, no, they wouldn't move up, but they would close the gap between them and the Highlanders. And if they were somehow able to beat the Highlanders with a bonus point, they would still actually be in last. So they've got quite a bit of work to do before they can move a mile up. But yeah, at the moment, the top 6, it's looking like you're going to need a minimum. It's very hard to say, but I want to say a minimum of 30 to 35 points to be within that top 6. Currently, the Blues are on 11, so they need to win 24 or so points, I believe, worth of games, which is pretty much winning all of them except for one. And then, of course, bonus points might boost them up that little bit more as well. But having 5 losses does hurt because that straight away puts them, in most cases, at least 2 wins less than a lot of the sides within the top 8, or the top 6, I should say. Moana to win by 52 points to 34, says Samuelu. So you're going for another massive second half. You're going for a 47-point second half from Moana. So that would be even more than they got up against the Waratahs. Yeah, it would be a absolutely massive one for them. And feeling a bit tired, might crack a Red Bull for the second half, says James. And of course, straight after this game, we have got the matchup taking place between the Fijian Draw and the Highlanders. To anyone who is new to the channel, of course, be sure to hit the subscribe button for that. So if the Blues lose, is that season over for the Blues? Not quite. I'd say if they have 2 more losses, I think they will struggle to make the top 6. And that's not like being negative or anything. That's just looking at the way. In fact, the perfect example would be to just show the table. This is how it's set at the start of the round, right? So since then, the Waratahs have moved up to 21. So currently in 6th is the Brumbies on 19. Now, if they manage to get the win over the Reds, that all of a sudden means that our top 6, the lowest in it, would be 20 points for the Western Force. But then the Blues, they would only be 1 or 2 wins behind that. But it's just whether or not they can keep on putting those wins together is the main thing. Because the Force, I do think that with the games that they've got remaining, there is a chance they drop out of that top 6. So all of these 5 sides are really jockeying for that number 6 spot. But yeah, they just can't afford to lose too many games to sides below them on the table. That's the big one. And they've got a couple more big matches to go up against those lower ranked sides that they'll want to make sure that they get the victory there. But it's going to be Tana Umanga just saying that they're getting beaten to the punch at the moment here for Moana. Getting stuck is the descriptive word used. And hi, Abel. Welcome, bro. I'm Spider. Says Spider Mech. Moana likes to do this. They play average in the first half and they come back with a boom boom in the second. Let's go. Says Sam. Who you think is better, Ronaldo or Messi? I honestly haven't seen either of them play enough football to be able to really tell. I know that a lot of people base it off who's got a World Cup and who doesn't, but like Ronaldo's still an incredible player, and it just depends on what you want, because Messi's kind of in the nicest way possible, he's a smaller package compared to Ronaldo, so it's whether or not you want that extra height. Like, Messi's not winning the headers that Ronaldo has, but then Ronaldo in some cases isn't beating defenders the way that Messi does. You know, so it's a tricky one. You could honestly say both of them, and it's the easy answer. Smaller package is a family show, says James. And Dana, why don't you pick Julian? I would say it's because he hasn't played in about a month and a half, and they didn't want to risk him coming straight back from an injury and end up with another injury. Kicked off long by Moana Pasifika, though. Looking through, I do see that Sama Malolo has made his way onto the field. And it's for Sanarevi. I don't think they've made that change at Garden Bishop as of yet, which makes me a little bit concerned. Messi is just good at skills, says Abel. I knew that Julian is not good enough, says Spider Meg now. Run from Sama Malolo, already getting his hands on the ball. Off to the right-hand side. The Artie Savia, a couple extra meters as Anton Segner makes the tackle on him. Back across. Malolo again. He's decided to just get into his work extremely early on in the second half. Within a minute, he's touched the ball twice. Danny Tuala tries a little chip in behind. Wasn't the best option as Dalton Papali was there ready for it, but getting over the ball, I think Moana were hard done by not to end up with that possession. Looks like maybe there's been an injury in the process too, just flopping forward after trying to rip it away. Corey Evans waiting for this one to bounce is William Harvili. This is Rugby Bro. Says Wade. Doesn't Messi play kiss and kick? Says Wade. Nicely taken. Bowden Barrett inside of the 22. He will run this one forward. He's got Mark Talia with him, but instead opts to go to the boot again, looking for the sideline. Can't find it. Picked up by Pipisana Patafilo. Malani Matavao. Off to Garden Bishop down the middle of the field with his boot. Bouncing a little bit awkwardly. Corey Evans watches it closely. Now we'll kick this one towards the touchline. He took a long time to line it up, but still wasn't quite able to find it. Isolating himself there was William Harvili, I believe. Can't get that turnover he was after. Malani Matavao again goes across to Samuel Slade. Much better position already in the second half for Moana Pasifika. Danny Toala goes across to Pepe Sana Patafilo. Ball on the outside to Kieran Tumafalau. Going to be hard to finish. He gets it on the inside, but he just was in touch. Oh, what happened there? Oh, okay. The Blues, I thought for a second, tried to take that one quickly. The Blues, it's going to be their line out 5 meters out from their line. Damn, almost. No cigar says Sam, a nice pass on the outside from Pipisana Patafilo and AJ Lamb. He had to get across quickly, and that foot was in touch from Kieran Tumafalau. Like I said, AJ Lamb, he's had a busy game so far, and he is playing his 50th Super Rugby match. Unlucky for Pacifica, dude, internet is lagging. Show in the chat. Anyway, good afternoon, Kiwi Lads community. Welcome in. Cheers, Blues. No, welcome in, mate. A line out chance here for the Blues. Only 5 meters out from their line. Oh, okay. Halo will make his way on. That is for Milani Mataval going off for an HIA. I'm not too sure what happened to him. But it's overthrown. Nicely played by the Blues. Big shot on Oskin Satutu, but a set piece that was effective. Finley Christie back into the pocket to Bowden Barrett. One didn't come off as cleanly as Barrett would have liked, but it will be the line out anyway. And thank you, boss. Here's Blues, Nate. And get a Moana, says Samuelu. Yeah, already one of their best attacking plays of the match, and it took place in only the first 3 minutes of the second half period. And come on, the Blues, don't make me shaken. I better have a joint to calm my nerves, says Spider Mick. Now line out throw for Sama Malolo, but the Blues have been very strong this year in terms of stealing line outs, and they've done it again there. Beautifully done by Segna and Tui Pilotu. Blues getting that ball back. It will be Ricky Riccatelli. So Tutu has to play hard. Oh, he's knocked the ball on. He's looking down at the ground as if to say maybe it hit someone's boot in the breakdown, but it does give the scrum now for Moana Pasifika. And Moana Pasifika has leak points. However, they definitely need that second half comeback performance to win, says John. Yeah, they've had a very busy season in terms of points. We've seen about 270 scored by themselves. We've seen about 240 scored by their opposition. So no matter what, when you see a Moana Pasifika game, you know it's going to be high scoring. They've got their, in 2024, combined for 13 tries from rounds 1 to 8 for Caleb Clark, Mark Talia, and Hoskin Satutu. This season, they have 4 combined tries, and 3 of those have been Mark Talia. So Satutu, I think he's got 1. Caleb Clark, I don't think has scored a single try this year as of yet, and that's going to be down in the front rows. They just wanted to use that one Moana, as they do know that scrums are a little bit risky up against this big Blues forward pack. Looks like Angus Ta'aval may have busted his nose on the ground there. What's happened there? Unnecessary back chat is what has been given as the referee against Moana Pasifika. Get a hold of him, please, says the referee. So they have a scrum reset. I think, yeah, that's an interesting one. I'm not sure who it was targeted at, but by the sounds of it, he's having a chat to, yeah, okay, so Sama Malolo was talking to Ricky Riccatelli. The referee's gone, I'm close to that and I feel offended, so I'm going to give it as a penalty to the Blues. Nice. Back, Jack, come on. Who you think you are, ref? Definitely when it's, like, if it's directed at the ref, I 100% agree. But if it's 2 players going at each other, like, you're not going to take that out of the game. There's always going to be those rivalries. And that's normally what makes the rugby so entertaining, when those guys are eyeing each other up saying, come on, see if you can push me backwards in a scrum. But now, it's going to be now the penalty advantage in favour of the Blues. Oh, nice block there from, I think it was Lalomilo. And WF, shut up, front row. Says Sam. And very good, nice and warm Melbourne weather today. And good afternoon, bro. Good on you, Spider. Okay, so that's going to be a penalty now against Sama Malolo as well. I feel like the ref's now definitely... Okay, Artie Savi, he's kind of backing away going, can I just talk to you about it, ref? He looks a bit confused, Sama Malolo. I think he's just pretty much gone, okay, that's how we're playing it then. But now they have a decision. They're kicking for the corner. Malolo, he had a busy first minute. In the next 6 minutes or so, the busiest part of him has been his mouth. That sounds a bit weird. The TMO can't call that. Says Alan. I don't think the TMO did, though, did he? Not that I know of. I think it was the referee who made the calls. And how's Rugby 24 coming along? Still unplayable? It's getting slightly better, but also at the same time, every update that they do, they fix something, but they break something else. So it's been a little bit tricky. Like, we finished our Hurricanes career mode first season, and I'm debating whether to do another one, just because for now every game is so different that you never get any sort of consistency of playing. And now Christie with the short ball, AJ Lamb tackled hard. Leah now around the side. Pipisana Patafilo has to make the tackle on him. Another advantage. Goes against Moana Pasifika. Now Oscar Tutu reaches out and he makes the tally 5 now for him, Clark, and Talia for the season. 48 minutes in. And Hoskins Tutu gets himself his second try of the season. And that one hurts Moana Pasifika. What all started with 2 front rows having a chat turns into 65, 70 metres gained for the Blues. And Tutu managing to cross the try line. Must be time for a warning for Moana Pasifika, says Kiwi Rob. It's been quite a few. Although, as we've learned from that game between the Waratahs and the Chiefs, you're allowed 16 infringements before you get a yellow card. Odin Barrett now. Going to be lining this one up from 44 metres out. He's been successful on this near side of the field, but he has missed his 2 from the other side of the park. So he'll be feeling quietly confident about this angle. He has got his other 2 from the right. Have you heard about the new Indian Rugby Sevens competition? And he's got that one over again, Bowden Barrett. That'll make the score now 31 points to 5. Moana not winning this one, says Demon. Yeah, it's looking pretty tough for Moana here. But yeah, I haven't actually heard about that one, Ed Smith. Is it being like broadcast globally or just based out of India for now? Now 31 minutes remaining and 31 points on the board for the Blues. I'm going to say it. They got to get Pellegrini on. And they've probably made it so that there's too much of a task for him to be able to help Moana back into this game. There's back chat, but no comeback. Blues will take it from here. Says Sam, Abraham Pole, he has made his way off. James Lay does come on. Hello is still out there. Same with Tom Savage. He's just gone on. Chris Apua is also on the field, so they've decided to make quite a few changes here for Moana Pasifika. But one of them that I didn't see coming up was Pellegrini. I'm just looking around. No, Garden Bishop's still out there. They are persisting with him. Blues need 3 tries cap plus penalty kicks. How I didn't expect the Blues to be this dominant. Says NZ Riot. Sounds like it was like 2020 cricket with lots of foreign players. Says Ed. So hopefully it ends up picking up and they can build a bit of a market. As I mean, if you can get into the Indian market, it's an absolutely massive one if teams do start to get involved. Kicked high from Jackson Garden Bishop. This one going close to the sideline to Lear. Oh, I think he's hurt his wrist maybe to Lear, or maybe just got winded there. This game seems to be going in one direction. There's David. Rugby Premier League, also known as the RPL, is a professional rugby sevens league based in India. It is organised by Rugby India, the governing body of the sport for the nation. It's the first franchise-based rugby league in the world. It was founded in 2024 to boost the growth and popularity of rugby sevens. There's Blues' name. Sounded like something straight off Google, which I assume it was. Kick's gone into Dutch. Moana Pasifika have once again got themselves the line out here, but this is a massive one for the Blues. Definitely at the moment with points differential, the way that it's sitting, they needed to get that somewhere near 0. I believe they were minus minus 31 at the start of this round, minus 39 in fact. So they've still got a little bit more ground to make up to be able to get there towards that 0. Now looks like they are actually going to go for the scrum rather than the line out here for Moana Pasifika. We see Pellegrini warming up on the near side of the field. Won't be a mile away from making his way on. 51 minutes too late, I would have to say. Right, Ricky Riccatelli, he's also gone off for an HIA here. And come on, Moana, wake up, says Demon. 58% possession and 57% territory for the Blues. Now, William Harville, he's got a very confused face on at the moment. This game hasn't quite gone the way that Moana would have liked. Sounds interesting. India, not really known for its rugby. Their 7-side are usually or using it to qualify for the Olympics. Says Ed. That is going to be the penalty now, this time going the way of Moana Pasifika. Look at that mullen on Moana 21. Yeah, Halua has got quite the header here. 30 minutes to greatness, says Shane. Right, so Angus Ta'aval is having a bit of back chat to James Lay, saying make sure you try and keep it up, etc. Doesn't get marched back 10 for it. In fact, he was having a bit of a chat to the referee as well. Okay, so in the commentary box, I think there was Tony Johnson has said he didn't swear, so he's not penalised. Of course, you're not allowed to say bad words on the rugby field. It's not allowed. Hello, oh, that's going to be slapped down by AJ Lamb. Only accidental, so it will just be the knock on. Huey Rob only seems to talk a lot when his team losing, says Demon. I think he's slightly settled down in the second half, I do have to say. Like, his first ones were about where they're sitting on the table and whatnot. That's a good charge down from Josh Berry. Which have you heard of in rugby make Auckland great again? I have not, no. But I know that people have said it's the Blues year. And it's going to be a great comeback for them to get to those playoff games because more than likely they will be away from home for their playoff matches unless something drastic happens and some other big sides do end up losing some matches. Another penalty advantage. All playing the 9. It's going to go against Kurt Eklund. Now 26 minutes remaining, and that is how many points Moana need to be able to get back into this game, which would be 4 tries. Jackson Garden Bishop ready to kick this one towards the corner. To be close to his last moment of the game. Pellegrini getting close to making his way on. 5 handling errors from Moana Pasifika with 8 penalties against them. 4 handling errors from the Blues with 3 against the Blues. Okay, Patrick Pellegrini is now on the field, but he's come on for William Harville. Now going off to the right-hand side here for Moana. Shifting back left, beautifully done. Summer Malolo, tackled by Bowden Barrett. Ball there. Now Sam Slade round the side of the breakdown. They've got themselves a try. Oh no, they're going back for the penalty. My apologies. And here says Samuelu. And I guy says Abel. And it's against Anton Segner. I only predicted 20 plus, says Spider Mech. Now, once again, it looks like Moana Pasifika. They're calling for just being able to run it forward. Making the quick tap. On off to Samuel Slade again. People are too told to get out of that one. Big run from Malolo. 1 meter short. Chris Apua looks like he is ready to go for it. Going to be flattened by Berry, who once again was offside. Artie Savia trying to get that leg pumping. It's Patrick Samoan or Tongan. He is Tongan. Morning, everyone. How are we doing? Doing very well, Seb. Hopefully you are enjoying your morning. Plenty of rugby still to come, including that Bulls versus Edinburgh game. Cross kick from Pellegrini. In fact, this time it was Garden Bishop. Knocked backwards by Kieran Tumafalau. Picked up by Pellegrini, who offloads to Kieran Tumafalau. A little bit high there from Caleb Clark. They'll go back for the original penalty again. I says Abel. Hello. A little bit of push and shove there. Pellegrini's actually really small when you see him compared to some of the other players. Like, I didn't realize that he was as short as he is, because he looks quite solid. I'm going to see his height here. He's only 80 kgs, and I don't think it's got his height. His height is 1.7 meters. So, yeah, he's a whole 25 centimeters shorter than Miracle Langi. The Blues will start dominating now. They will be in the top six. So, here's Atkins. Good run forward from Moana Pasifika again. Segner, a little bit slow getting out of there and keep the ball in a good position. Opportunity for the turnover couldn't come. Now Adi Savia looking off to the side, gives it off to Miracle Langi, who will score again, just like he has most of the season. And Moana, they've still got a long way to go, but it is a slight step in the right direction. Now we have there keeping it up, Blues. Said Gregory, as Moana Pasifika, mostly Samoan, or a mix. It is a mix of Samoa, Tonga, as well as a little bit of Cook Islands in there too, I believe. They've got one or two Cook Islands players, or at least they did. And then also you've got a couple English fellas, and Tom Savage and Alan Craig. Oh, I think Alan Craig's English. Could be wrong though, or at least half English. One's going to go over for Pellegrini, making the score now 31 points to 12. Is it a coincidence that that man makes his way onto the field and 3 minutes later they score a try? The Blues was over the ball, says Kiwi Rob. They were very close to getting that turnover. Although I do think that Segner, the way that he came down on it, he almost actually pushed it right where they would have liked to be able to steal it, but you're not quite able to get that steal in the end. Shout out to Any Please out there. Any Please? Oh, Pacific Islanders, I've realised that is. That is not an L, that is an I, I've just realised. How long to go for the game? Still another 21 minutes remaining here. Shot from Patrick Uipilotu. Nice to see some fight back for a change against the Quins and after the Quins and Glasgow games against Leinster. Yeah, 114-0. Leinster are over the Quins and Glasgow from their last two games. Kicked for Pellegrini, knocks it on, but there is going to be the penalty going the way of the Blues. And that is for a bit of obstruction on Beauden Barrett. The thing is, with where they are sitting here, it makes you wonder whether or not it is worth the Blues taking the 3. Then at the same time, they might look at it as they need that extra try to be able to get themselves towards that bonus point. They do currently have it in play, but one more try from Moana would take it away from them. For another 5 tries. There's Samuelu. Is Geordie coming back to play for the All Blacks this year? He will be for the November internationals, I believe. That's when he's coming back. And also, there go both teams. Says Soa Jr. Of course, next game that we are covering on the channel is just around the corner. That will be the matchup between the Highlanders and the Fijian Drua. Taking place down in Dunedin. They will actually opt for the 3 here. Just trying to get that lead to a total of 22 points, which would mean that Moana need 4 tries rather than just the 3, or at least some other form of points alongside 3 tries. Only joining the game now who scored for the Blues. So we're seeing a try from Beauden Barrett. We have seen Hopkins to Tutu, Mark Talia, and then also Ricky Riccatelli. And there's one more in there as well. Yeah, that looked a bit high from... Oh, no, got him on the chest. My apologies. Tuipilotu hit him just low enough. And then there was one more try who I can't remember who got it, unfortunately. Was it AJ Lamb? No, I don't think he scored in his 50. If he has got an assist, though. And we have got there Beauden Barrett classiness and experience. A 10 certainly helps, says NZ Riot. If you ever go to any games to watch, not of Super Rugby, never been to a Super Rugby match, never been to an international rugby match either. Over the last few years, it's mainly because we've been here for them. And go the mighty Auckland Blues, says Puna. Throwing Geordie Barrett for the Rugby Championship. July internationals, I don't think he's going to be there. But for the Rugby Championship, maybe, because they do select a different squad, don't they, after the July internationals come to a close. Now sitting 40 metres out from the line at the moment. Oh, Going to be ripped away. Finley Christie now. Little flick pass out the back from Oscar to Tutu. Bowden Barrett almost decapitates his teammate, firing the ball across. We have got, there go Moana Pasifika, says Samuelu. Tom Savage making the tackle there. Alongside Samuel Slades, the locking. Joe linking up. The more time that they have got this ball in hand, the more... Wait, did Bowden miss that one straight out in front? I see that the score's still 31 points to 12. I think we were talking about Geordie Barrett during that time, and Bowden's gone and absolutely shanked one from about 20 metres out. It's not ideal. Oh, change is just about to be made for the Blues, though. It's going to be... Oh, no, in fact, the Moana Pasifika side making the change. Sione Havili Talatui makes his way on. That is going to be for Medical Whailangi. I never heard Clark's name yet. He's hardly touched the ball. I think he went up for the first kickoff. About it. And, you know, when you look through at the guys who are in the running for the All Blacks, where do you put someone like a Caleb Clark? How much does experience from the past play factor? Because he hasn't scored a single try this year. And, you know, you've got guys like Caleb Tangi Tau who are tearing it up out on the wing for the Highlanders. You've got, you know, all these young guys coming up through the rankings. Oh, that was a big shot on Pellegrini. Counter ruck coming from the Blues, but the ball was there by Papali'i. Manages to steal it. Bowden Barrett, little chip in behind. Rico unable to gather, I think. In fact, I've said it's come off one of his limbs that it's going to be play on. Flick back by Tupaia. And go on, Moana Pasifika, 2 tries for the bonus point, and sold his soul to the Irish. They still dropped in my estimations, I should say, from Sebastian there. Now Christie goes across to Papali'i. Corey Evans passes out wide to Hoskins. A doo-doo looping around was Bowden Barrett. Flicks it on the inside. Your will be just short, and he decided to hang on to it rather than offloading. So he gets driven into touch. Thought about throwing it. And probably in his mind, he thought, is there any way of me being able to score this? And then realised he was over the sideline. Corey Evans, great pass out wide. Little lobby one. And then Bowden Barrett showing his base. Rico Ioane just needed that offload. I don't know whether it was because he saw Sione Havili Talatui, but either way, there was probably going to be someone roughly there for him to be able to pass to, and then does get driven out. They should shift Clark to 13 and Rico on the wing. And who has scored the most in the Blues? So most guys for the Blues who have scored have only got the one. I believe everyone has only scored the singular try just at this point. Almost a steal coming here for Anton Segner. I believe he got it clean, but they will still get the penalty in favour of the Blues. So that is Anton Segner who got over the ball. I sell my soul once in my dream, though, says Spider Mick. How is that legal, says Kiwi? What are we talking? Anton Segner's turnover or what? The tackle on Ioane? I feel like if anyone was to want a law change that says you're not allowed to tackle Rico Ioane, it would be Rico Ioane. At least then he'd score some tries. Now, sitting about 7 metres out from the line here with the line out. Was that too harsh? It sounded pretty harsh. That line out. Says Kiwi Rob. And also, let's go the Blues, says Joseph. It's very legal, says Damon. I remember when fans were regarding Caleb Clark as John Alomu's successor. Seems like we've got ahead of ourselves. As rugby fans, no offence, I'm included in there, we often do get a little bit too ahead of ourselves. We decide that someone's going to be a star and then they get injured or they end up having a quiet season and everyone goes off them. Look at what's happened for Damian McKenzie just in the last 24 hours. For a lot of people, he was the All Blacks 10. Then from there, he has a poor game up against the Waratahs. And now people are saying he shouldn't even be playing for the All Blacks, even though he's been in the Super Rugby Fantasy Team of the week pretty much every single week for the rest of the comp. That is another rolling maul try here for the Blues. Kurt Eklund, the man who pops up with it. I believe that's their 3rd try in this match, involving partly the rolling maul or something to do with that sort of play. Most of the people in this live stream is going for the Blues. D-Mac isn't our 10, says Kiwi Rob. That's because you like to suck off Bowden. And now, on for the pick and go around the side. But yeah, I think it's going to be split between McKenzie and Bowden Barrett this year. And I think that it would be pretty good. I think that the biggest problem, though, that people aren't addressing wasn't McKenzie and wasn't Bowden Barrett. last year for the All Blacks. It was that midfield combo. It's very hard for a 10 to create magic when he's got two guys on the outside who, let's be honest, weren't in form. Geordie Barrett at the moment's in some of his best form of his life playing for Leinster. But, when you look at Rico, who had gone 500 days without scoring a try, you want a lethal 13. You want a Conrad Smith or someone like that who's going to be able to run them in for fun or at least set them up for fun. Missed again for, I think there was Stephen Perafeta that time who did that one away to the side. So 36 points to 12 is the way that it does sit. DMAC just had a shocker of a game. Yeah, and it happens for everyone. And normally it's that one game that people remember rather than the 15 games that you have good for the season. That's just the way we're programmed. It's the same with the media. If someone has something negative about them, that's going to get a lot more clicks than saying they're doing very well. That's going to be kicked high by Finley Christie. Currently 13 minutes remaining now. Oh, Pellegrini having a little bit of a juggle of the ball. Is Barrett playing 10 for the Blues? He certainly is for this matchup, and he's been looking really strong. They tried him at 15. I think it was, how many weeks ago did they try Barrett at 15? And I think they very quickly learned that wasn't a good idea, and that instead they should just stick him back to 10 where he had been playing for the ABs. Go Moana, says Saniva there. Currently 24 minutes remaining. Moana Pasifika would need 2 tries to be able to cancel out that Blues bonus point, but more than likely at the moment, it looks like 5 points are on the cards for this Blues side. Oh, overthrown there from the Blues, though, at line-out time. Do you see any of the Havili brothers getting selected for the All Blacks? Completely honest answer. I actually think that David Havili, from what we've seen him do this season, does deserve it a lot more than he did last year. Like last year, we hardly saw him, and they were trying him in all these different positions, and he wasn't in form, and he still made the team. This year, he's actually knuckled down. He's put his socks up, and, he's actually looked pretty good for the Crusaders in that 12 jersey. So I wouldn't be as surprised if he got selected this year. There's Artie still on the field. I believe so. Medical fire Langi went off for Sione Havili Talatui, but, Savia is still out there, I do see. 40-plus points penalties for the Blues. Or 40 points plus penalties for the Blues, says Puna there. And wonder what Joey Manu will do. Union will return to league, says Ed. Yeah, he's got a bit of a decision to make. I feel like both codes are trying to shuffle him in the right direction, but sadly will only be able to choose one. Off to the right-hand side here for Moana Pasifika. Trying to go through was Pipisana Patafilo. I do also have to say, has been nowhere near as effective out on the wing as he was in the centres last week. Him and Danny Tuala were absolutely tearing it up. Now, going across to the side. Well, in fact, I should say the week prior up against the Crusaders rather than last week up against the Waratahs. Blues might go 50 points. Give it to Mark Delia for his 5th try for the Blues. The win against Moana Pasifika, says Joseph. Now, hello. Almost ended up having a bit of a knock on there. It does look like it is going to be all right. And the ref says play on. Now, big fend from Tumafalau. Over the crowd stay for the Aupiki final. Says Novmum. I think they might as well. Like, at the end of the day, if you paid for your ticket, like, maybe some of Moana Pasifika's fans might not, just because they're probably only here to see Moana play. But I'd like to think that a lot of the Blues supporters would stick around for the final involving their side. I know, Sebastian, please don't go there. Says Eddie there. Now 10 minutes remaining on the clock. Finley Christie will go back across to the right-hand side. Talia tries to step. Gets round Jackson Garden Bishop, who was a bit poor with the defensive effort there. Sama Malolo. Let's drive him backwards. Go Moana Pasifika, says Samuelu. 10 minutes. Like I said, the Blues, minimum from this game, they will want those 5 points. Definitely with where they sit currently. And they have missed a lot of kicks off the tee today. Right, Artie Savia, he was absolutely livid there. He said he's got me by the neck, or he hit my neck or something like that. And the ref just went, did he? Blues give a big shot to Moana Pasifika. We're going to get a replay of this breakdown that Savia was mentioning. It's all right, guys. Good job today. The sun will rise again. There's Samuelu. It looks like Finley Christie will make his way off the field. It's going to be for Taufa Funaki. Okay, Artie gone over to the ref just to ask him about it. Right. So referee Paul Williams has pretty much said if anything happened, the TMO will get on to that. But as we've seen this game, the TMO, I don't think have we seen a TMO decision yet? Did they hire a TMO for this match? Might have been something they forgot. Meanwhile, Jack Moana supporter in Istanbul feeling the pain. Cheers, Bakuna there. I do appreciate you being here. Hopefully, Moana can bounce back in the next game. They are going to be taking on the Brumbies next week. Blues can use all the bonus points they can get. Cheers, NZ Riot. And we have got there. It's all right, guys. Good job today. Here's Samuelu. That is going to be now Chris Apua with a pick and go. Tries to pop it back up to Sione Havili Talatui. Staying down for a little bit longer was Dalton Papali'i. Blues could use all the bonus points they can get. Yeah, exactly right. Like 5 points puts them up to 16, which I believe will put them into about 9th. Is going to be the advantage. So Papali'i's just going to hang on to that one. Tie up the ball. Still hanging on to it. Give it back, Papali'i. There we go. I don't think Moana Pasifika are going to take this one quickly. Berry used the penalty against them. Imagine if they had a captain's challenge in Union like they do in League. Game would last for hours, says Ed Smith. It would. And the thing is, that statement there, right, that the game would last for hours, when you think about why it would last for hours, that's one of our problems that we've got with rugby union at the moment. Because the reason it would last for hours is because they would have to keep on giving the captain's challenges back because of making the wrong decisions. Living in Central Auckland, fully support the Blues. Says Alosina. He'll be happy enough with the 24-point lead at the moment over this Moana Pasifika side. Thrown in by Summer Malolo, well taken by Tom Savage. Why Artie is playing as 7. He is indeed for this contest. And the ref haven't quite seen eye to eye today. Oh, big knock on from Samuel Slade. Pirafetta from inside of his own 22 will kick this ball into touch. And Central Auckland hard out, says James. And go the Blues, says Paul Ustazen. 6.5 minutes left here. The Blues, all they have to do is just close out this game. The second half has not gone the way that it has in multiple other games for Moana Pasifika. They've only been able to get themselves the 7 points just at this point. In the other 7 games, they averaged 24 points throughout the second half periods. Now in the middle of the field, Patrick Pellegrini, shut down by AJ Lamb. Sup, lad, says Obi. Come in. You've got the next game just around the corner. It's going to be the Fijian Drua taking on the Highlanders. I know the Blues would bounce back, says Obi. Manu Samoa playing Scotland at Eden Park this year. You got Moana get another 2, says Samuelu. Yeah, that extra point could be absolutely crucial for the Blues as we move through this season. So the last side that want to see those 2 tries scored would be this Blues team. Adrian Choke rushing up but misses the tackle to Leah. He has to finish the job on Summer Malolo. Now Tom Savage. The tackle made, and kudos on your pronunciation, Hamish. Whether you get it correct or not, at least you're trying. Well done, says John. Sounded like a compliment, but also a slight insult of like, you get it wrong sometimes, but it's still not bad. We can work out who the players are that you're talking about. Oh, Auckland hit in the back of the head with the ball. And Fiji and draw versus the Blues and Fiji at the 9th of May next month. Suva at 7:05 on Friday, says Joseph. Now 5 minutes left, and it will be another scrum. Now just showing there the Blues final for the women's side of things up against Matatu. They'll be playing each other at 6:40, or I believe it's a 7:05 p.m. kickoff. Hamish, can we get a rundown of today's stream? So this one, we've got about 5 minutes remaining. Then from there will be about a 45-minute break before the Fiji and Draw versus Highlanders match. Then after that, we will have about a 2-and-a-bit-hour break as we aren't doing Reds versus Brumbies, just because that Bulls versus Edinburgh game will be starting at 11:30, but we'll probably be starting at about 11:15. So the commentary for that one and the build-up will also involve telling what's happening in the Reds Brumbies final moments. So that will be Bulls Edinburgh at around 11:30 kickoff. And then the one after that will be Bordeaux versus Munster as the last one as well. Draw home, good at home, but not when it comes to away games. Says Dane. I mean, they beat the Crusaders by a substantial margin in Christchurch, though, which is something that even the top sides of Super Rugby Pacific in the past have really struggled to do. It's enough time for you to have a feed, Amish. There's Matthew. And get it, Moana. Take 1 or 2 more tries. Now, going to be kicked in behind. Oh, sits up for AJ Lamb. I think they really blew that opportunity, Moana, and it looks like they've gifted the golden one to the Blues just out from their own line. Now across Funaki at a bit of a low pass, but really well picked up by Harry Plummer. Why does the game finish now? It is not. Still another 4.5 minutes remaining. We're back now down to 3.5. Off a Funaki. Penalty goes the way of Moana Pasifika. It was Artie Savia this time. Getting in that breakdown, applying the pressure. You're doing the Munster one as well. Excellent, my URC team. Glad to hate my guts for it. Says Sebastian. But yeah, it might be a tough game up against Bordeaux for them. Hopefully we don't see a similar scoreline to what we saw between Leinster and Glasgow. But I am hopeful that it's going to be a bit closer. Definitely after they played up against La Rochelle and the way that they went in that game. Being able to get the big win. Blues, you got this scrum. Let's go the Blues. Make another 50-plus bonus point. 2 converted tries in 3 minutes would be hard to do. Definitely with Moana having the line out, although their line out has not been safe. We have got their hi mum, and that was Hamish's mum. I assume you're talking about the background noise. That was actually my dad. Fun fact. He was in the kitchen before. Go Munster, says Matthew. Now going off to the right-hand side. And Halo. Going back across to Tom Savage. Pops the ball up to Chris Apua. Our 8 Blues players are leaving at the end of the season. Or sorry, what Blues players? There are a few, I believe. Plummer's going to France. That's going to be another penalty advantage. Papali'i. Every time there's a penalty advantage against the Blues, he just gets in there, rips the ball away. Just so that nothing can happen. No attacking chance. Cynical in some regards, but never gets penalised for it. A Blues 40+, says Gregory. Who's missing from Moana Pasifika's team? Well, I think that Pellegrini was missing for the first 50 minutes. They decided to put him off the bench rather than starting. His territory kicking has been phenomenal this year, which is something that Moana really did lack throughout the first half. Like Garden Bishop, he's had a couple good moments in this game, but nowhere near enough, I don't think, to warrant him starting over Pellegrini. Like, he goes all right off the bench, as we've seen. Second half side, Moana. So it's normally not the end of the world when he is making his way off the bench rather than in that starting lineup. But yeah, Pellegrini just seems to have a lot more control of this Moana Pasifika backline. So I think they could have really used that earlier on. Blues leaving because Ray's only picking status for the AB. Sad, says Spider Mick. I mean, the thing is though, like, with the exception of Satutu, Riccatelli's a bit unlucky, but he always has been when it comes to selection. And we never really know the reason why he isn't selected. But, you know, if the money's there, you know, there is always going to be another coach in the future who might take you. But sometimes it's just about what the coach's plans are. And it's going to be a cross kick scored there by Kieran Timapalau. Still a minute left on the clock. Moana are looking to take that bonus point off the Blues. But, yeah, like Harry Plummer, no one blames him one bit for taking the overseas money in France. It was the perfect decision to make, because the thing is, if you're in great form and you don't get selected for the All Blacks often, other sides are going to notice around the world. And that's one massive bonus of playing up against New Zealand All Black sides or players. You know, if you stand out, sides in France, sides in the URC go, oh, might try and sign that guy. Now, Pellegrini, he's got a great kicking accuracy, and he's missed this one. So that definitely jinxed him. 30 seconds remaining, though, in this matchup. Moana Pasifika 36 points to 17 down, but one more try would remove the Blues bonus. It was actually the Blues last year who took away the Chiefs bonus point. I believe it was, or in fact, was it the other way around that the Blues might have lost their bonus point? One of the two anyway, and it actually caused a bit of a difference. In fact, no, sorry, it was the Chiefs. They lost their bonus point up against the Blues, which then meant that they didn't have theoretically the home final, but then eventually we saw them end up with certain factors anyway. I think it was that anyway. I can't quite remember. I just remember a last-minute try between the Blues and the Chiefs. Ended up making a bit of a change. But now 22 metres out from their own line here for Moana Pasifika Rugby tomorrow, yes. Says Reed, there is indeed. Pellegrini now passing across to the left-hand side. Garden Bishop tries to step but loses his footing in the process. Segner looking for the counter ruck, but Moana Pasifika still have the ball. Riccatelli is always unlucky, as there's always a better player than him every year. That's why he never gets picked, says Red 7. A step from Ardi Savia. Now 81 minutes in, still awaiting that final whistle to be blown. But before then, I think Moana Pasifika want to at least have one last chance at being able to score again. I don't know whether or not they would know how much one more try would actually benefit them here. He's going to be crunched in the tackle by Cam. Oh, no, penalty goes the way of Moana Pasifika. That was Cam Christie, and Moana might as well decide to leave. No fuel in the tank. There's NZ Ride. Are you covering the lines too? Tall, we certainly are, including all of those midweek games as well. If the draw wins, that was my pick 100% wrong for the weekend. Very sad day indeed. And that one is going to go into touch. So that will be the end of this matchup. The Blues win it with a bonus point, 36 points to 17. The win that maybe will just get the Blues back on track for this season. They need to keep backing it up, though. The Crusaders in Christchurch next week. Then they are taking on the Reds at Suncorp Stadium. Those are their two next matches. But nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, of course, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. We are back in only 43 minutes time for that matchup between the Fijian Roar and the Highlanders down in Dunedin. So we'll see you all for the next one.